Hello everyone, welcome to Try Rides, the new era of learning. Myself Rafiq. So today we are entering to the topic of machine learning concept. Okay, let us understand what's the behavior of machine learning in theoretical ways and in a practical ways. Okay, now what is machine learning? Machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence that focus on developing models and algorithms that let computers learn from the data without being especially programmed for every task. In simple terms or in simple words, machine learning teaches the system to think and understand like humans by learning from the data. Okay, they understand step by step like a humans, and they learn from the data which we are giving like an input. Machine learning teaches the system to think and understand like humans by learning from the data. Okay, the input which you are passed to the machine learning, it analyzes the data and learns the data and build a logical model concept from the new data. It presents the output. Okay, let us be some. It is just a theoretical base. Okay, let's enter into the practical base. You understand more easily. Okay. So we all know about the definition. For understanding deep learning, first we need to understand what is machine learning. So in this lesson, we will try to understand the machine learning. Okay. Let us assume we have a person called. Let us see a person name anything. Simple person. Okay. Like human. Human can learn from past experience, right? Make a decisions from its own. They never disappoint or no never can judge. Every human has its own talent and own acknowledgeable. Okay, he can think, he can decision, he can think the decision, he can take the rights, he has everything. Okay, so like that a human we have. So what is the object? If I ask what is the object we are seeing, they directly tell the answer, it is car, it is a red car. Okay, how could he say? Because he's he's trained from the childhood, not from the beginning. Since childhood, he was watching the object, he's finding he uploaded the structure and patterns in his mind. Okay, so that he can easily recognize the object. So what is the in we put a multiple objects like car, supercar, motorbike, or superbike. In that object, we can find what is the first object in red color. They easily identify and recognize the object like it is a car. Okay, it is a red car. He recognized the pattern, he recognized the structure of the car. So he can easily identify it is a car. Okay. Now let us take a Mowgli example. Let us take a example. We have a jungle person. Like in simple terms, we are called as earliest inhabitants. Okay, earliest inhabitants. We call them ancient people, like an ancient person. Okay, let move into the ancient period and ask the what is the object. They couldn't recognize what's the object. Is it? I think they didn't know the color of the red or the mirrors. They didn't recognize what the color, what the structure. So it's totally confused what she's showing and what she's asking for me, right? Like machines also think like that. They didn't know any pattern, any structure to identify and recognize any object. So he also think like that. From that sense, we have trained him. They're thinking, what is the object? The object are not neither animal, neither anything. So they think they didn't get in mind this is car. They think like this is not an animal or this is animal or not. Like that he think. Okay. From that we trained him like a but he's a human. He can observe and learn easily. Okay. Now let us train him. Let us show the some few pictures to identify the concepts and structures and all patterns. We show him some few pictures to him and recognize and assign the names. This is a car. This is a supercar. This is a motorbike. This is a bike. And after that we show the same pictures and we show the same object and we ask what is this. He or she easily can recognize this is a car, this is supercar, because we trained him past from the past experience. In the past experience we had trained her or his, because we trained the person, he easily recognize. So during the mission understandable it also learns by the past experience. Okay, here we can read the algorithm completely. The model which we train learn from the past experience. System to think and understand like a human learning. Okay, from the past experience. Now human can easily understand. Now this is object. He can recognize when we put the both objects, animals and objects. He can easily no. This is not an animal. This is a car. The person can easily recognize because we trained him. Okay. Now coming to the picture, now we want to train like that robot, but but actually we could not train robot like that while training like a human, right? We want to assign input what we all training to the robot. We want to train like a data. We we want to train like a input. Based on inputs, the robot will train. The machine will train in simple terms. Okay, the machine follow the instruction. It cannot take the decision its own, right? Machine could not take decision by its own because it didn't recognize without input. We want to give the input to come the particular and certain output what we need. Okay. Now let us example if I ask a machine to I want a arithmetic operation such on based on addition, multiplication, division. How can the machine do reading those operations? If you assign the input properly, the machine can do easily by understanding the logics. Okay. And now I was to ask about missions, comparisons, pin, plot, and chat. So, but we cannot ask a machine like that to make the decision of its own. Okay, we want to assign the inputs. Okay, what is machine learning? We want a machine to act like a human. Here the concept comes the machine learning. So here we want to learn machine. Okay, here we take the object. Okay, we want to make the machine to take decisions. Okay, we have seen previously how to train a machine. Now we want to take the machine as take the decisions. See here we has a robot and we has a car. Identify the object. They couldn't identify easily because we trained past previously. They easily recognize this is car, this is robot, right? Let us raise a prediction. Okay, we want to assign the input as predict the price in the future in 2025, how the cost of car and the cost of robot. We humans know the cost of robots is more expensive than the car, right? So the machine can understand it and first it didn't analyze the future, right? We want to predict we gather the data of future and we assign to the robot as an input. Then the robot will recognize and analyze the data and the proper output will be generated. Okay, we by using neural language NLP, neural language understand the grammar. Okay, the machine. What is the machine learning? They recognize face, recognizing faces and face. We use in recognizing eye recognition. We use we built some concepts of model to for security purposes or some other purposes. We design some model concepts. Okay, that is what is the machine learning? What do we do? Just like we will did to humans, we need to provide experience to machine, right? So, what is machine learning? So, see, robots where we have a object. We all objects we concluded as data set. We consider as data sets. This is what we called as data has or training the data. We want to train the data first. So we first need to provide training data set to the machine to understand easily. After that, then the device we perform some operations on it. Algorithms operation we want to perform and execute the program on the data set. Will rep- with respect to underlining targets task, which will assign the particular task. Okay. After that, then using this program, identify required rules. It satisfies the test cases or required rules. After that, it generates a clarity pattern. It identifies the pattern. After it, in analysis, it analyzes the relationship, what the objects. Okay. After that, it decided. So this is a machine. Okay. So that the machine can drive an interface from the data. Okay. After that, we can generate a machine. So this is how the machine learning concepts run. Uh, Building logics by training data or analyzing SERP, identify the patterns, finding the logics. After that, we get a proper machine learning model. Okay, view a machine learning problem, and identify and create a approach data set, perform computation to learn required rules, patterns, and relationship. Okay, this is how the model will generate to E or to machine learning brain. Simply using brain, we assign some data sets. After that, we give some curriculum task for the machine. After it, during taking the task, it depends on the requirement data. It proceed the steps like analyzing the data, finding the patterns, and building a logic. After that, we get a proper output. So in this machine learning concept, we have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforced learning, right? From this, we have to take. So what is supervised learning? Supervised learning is a type of machine learning where an algorithms learn from the labeled trained data Essentially, the model is trained using input and output pairs, meaning it is known what the correct answer should be. Over time, it finds the patterns and relationship between the input and output, allow it to the predict outcome for the new unseen data. Okay, it is regression methods and classification method, right? Like that, we want to. We as a human being solve the various types of problems in our day-to-day life. So needs to be taken. Depending on the nature of the problem, machine learning tasks can be broadly divided in super learning and unsupervised learning, right? In supervised learning, we all know about the concept which mostly use it to handle with the labeled data, and it train the models on the relationship between the independent and dependent values of both two inputs or variables, and it make predictions and without with seeing and it take outputs by doing some function operations and algorithms. Mostly we use linear regression, logistic regression, decision tree, SVM, support vector machine, neural networks, and random forest. From this, what is the super learning? Let's just try and like super learning. So we have identified a data set samples and we have the label data, car, bike. We assign to equal to train the data. In supervised learning, we need to some things called as a label training data set. Okay. After that, we assign a formula. Give a labeled data, the task is divide a function which takes a data set and a new sample and produce an output value. So in it easily, we assign the one by one value which is equal to the labels or samples. Okay, give a labeled data task. It should devise a function which is takes the data sets and new sample and produce an output value. We matches it is not a car. We this the object the sample which is present in our required data set no because it didn't. If each and every is a train up to end. Okay. Give a labeled data. The task is to the devise a function which takes the data set and new sample and produces an output value. If the possible output values of the function are predefined and discrete category categorical it's called classification. Okay, predefinition classes means it will produce output on the form the label defined in the data set. For example, even if we have any input, even if we have input has a bus, it will produce either car or bike. Okay, no, it is similarly same. So similar data will be present in so classifier is nothing but we have the data set like tiger and elephant. To classify recognize the elephant to identify the animal. So it shows a particular object. We have to find the object. So it returns the object as elephant. Regression is nothing but a data set which we prediction, like we use the most prediction. It is a possible output value of the function or continuous real values, then it is called regression, right? The classification and the regression problems are supervised because the decision depends on the characteristics of the ground truth label of label or values present in the data set, which we define as experience, right? What is unsupervised data? Let's move to unsupervised data. So this is our unsupervised data, right? Unsupervised data is nothing but it is a type of machine learning where an algorithms learn from unlabeled data, unlike supervised learning, where the models is trained with known input and output pairs. Unsupervised learning discovers the pattern, relationship, and the structure in data on its own. Okay, in this also we consider as two common unsupervised learning, clustering and dimensionality reduction. Okay, so we use this method, common methods. So in this, we recognize a data set. In unsupervised learning, we didn't not to need, okay, the label data or a ground truth value. We didn't want any label data because unsupervised deals with unlabeled data, right? We didn't want any label data to train the model. So in that instant of unlabeled data, we instead of labeled data, we consider the clusters. How many if we takes the two clusters has a car or separated has a bike or separated. If we take a four clusters, the task is to identify the patterns like the groups of similar objects together. If we take a what is unsupervised learning like this data, we have a data set association rules like mining. We used to compare the values of both the who is the nearest comparison data. We want to match the data with other data, right? More example, unsupervised learning is a data sets of different groups. We have a different groups of data in one cluster or multiple clusters. Okay. For the more example, unsupervised learning is nothing but a cluster customer who viewed the items also is viewed. The overall thing here we can change in the graph. We can see if a pattern draw from the you use a matplotlib. So I take a graph assumption graph. So we had a graph like straight line. In this way, this take think as if it's points, data points. We have a different how many clusters we have one, two, three, four, five data. Here we have five data set is concluded as five clusters. Okay, like the unsupervised data label the data by depending by taking the unlabeled data, it's present the labeled data. It trains a model, right? So what is reinforcement? Reinforcement is nothing but is a simple terms of reinforcement. It is a small logic of the reinforcement. Reinforcement is a type of machine learning where an agent learn by the interacting with its environment to minimize the rewards instance of the being given labeled data, like in supervised learning. The agent explores the make decisions and improves through the trial and error. Okay, the agent action it returns the environment in returns the stated rewards. Instead, it provides a rewards or punishment. Okay. Now, it's also known as a learning form of trial or error. Let us learn what is reinforcement learning. So, agents come and environment. We hit the end agent. Agent hits the environment. Action. It provides an action. So, during the action, the return sim has a feedback or rewards. If any person gives you feedback instead of you done anything, in returns we represent him to he represent in terms we return him a reward or a feedback. Like that, the reinforcement also work like that in machine learning. So let's take it another example. We had a agent called a baby, agent instance of baby, and punishment has glass and reward has milk. Okay, enrollment like parents. If the baby cries or something do any wrong thing, we punished him with a glass. We didn't provide any food to him, any milk to the baby. If the baby is calm and silent and doing his work, we the environment will happy and it will provide the task or it will provide the reward. Okay, instead of that, we provide a milk reward. Like the system. Baby learn from the trial and error. Like that, the reinforcement also the data will try learn from the trials and errors. Okay, this is nothing but reinforcement. I hope you all you understand about the machine learning concepts.